Section 1 of Dear Godchild. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. A recording by MaryAnn. Dear Godchild, by Marguerite Bernard and Edith Serrell. Section 1. Introduction. A young New Yorker of 12 lately heard an appeal for the fatherless children of France, and his heart was touched. He had no money, but he resolved to give his spare time and his utmost energy to support a kid in France. The French child needed 10 cents worth of extra food each day in order to grow up with strength and courage. The little American godfather earned those 10 cents. He sold newspapers at the subway entrance after school hours and undertook an amazing variety of more or less lucrative odd jobs. Sometimes business was slow, and it was hard to keep up the game, but he did. He is still, in the true American expression, making good for his dear godchild, and doing it with a broad and brotherly grin. His name is James P. Jackson, Jr. His letters to and from the kid in France are published just for fun, and yet in the hope of encouraging more dear benefactors to join our large family and help along, in the same spirit and with the same joy. Edith Serrell. Letters 1 to 4. Greenville Falls, November 27, 1916. Dear Miss Secretary, how are you? It is all right about the French orphan, and I would like a boy between 10 and 12 if it is the same to you. At first Dad said I couldn't have him because there was plenty of rich godfathers who would take him if I didn't. But Mother told him of the appeal you made and that I was going to raise the money myself. And he said, well, I guess you are right, and if he can raise enough money to raise a kid on, he is welcome to it. And she said, I guess that is the right spirit. And so I am sending you 85 cents, which is 70 cents for the first week, and you can keep the change, which is 15 cents for the next week. So I will only send 55 cents for the first week after that. The 85 cents is my birthday money, which was on Thanksgiving Day, and I guess the folks will be glad to give me work when they know I am supporting a kid in France. Hoping you are well, and I am the same I will, close. Yours truly, James Prendergast Jackson, Jr. P.S. I should like his name to be Bill or Pete in French, and not one of those girly names, if that is the same to you. To Mr. James Prendergast Jackson, Jr. Dear Sir, according to your instructions, we have assigned to you Andrée Leblanc, aged 11, number 18 Rue d'Autancourt, Paris, as your godchild for 1 year. Thanking you for your interest in this worthy cause, we beg to remain, very truly yours, the Junior Committee for the Fatherless Children of France. Greenville Falls, New York, December 1st, 1916. Dear Godchild, how are you? I am very well, and I have gained 5 pounds in 1 week, which makes me 85 pounds, which is thought very good in America. Have you had much snow? We have had it considerable here, which has spoilt the skating on Frost Lake, which is behind old Sam Bursar's house, who is our neighbor. I am glad you have a short name. I had rather be called André than Nicholas, Christophe, or John Marie, but I would rather you were called Bill, or Pete, or Sniper. But you can't help being what they call you, so never mind. I supported you this week by selling 70 copies of the Greenville Mirror by hand. It is a good paper and should be patronized. I walked into Jim Parker's office, he is the editor, and said, Mr. Parker, if you have a loose job and no man for it, I am the man you want. And he said, how old are you? And I said, 11. And he said, what you want a job for? And I said, oh, for a kid I have in France. And he said, since I was supporting you, if I could sell 70 copies of the Mirror, he would give me 35 cents. And Mother have given me 15 cents for minding the chickens when she went to Pete's Kill, so I knew it would be all right. So I said, very well, you're on. So I took the Mirrors and stood on the corner of School Street. And blimeby, the men began to come home from the city, and some of them stopped to buy a mirror, and some did not. So I thought I would make an appeal, so I hollered, "Buy a mirror for a kid in France," and waved it in their faces, and you should have seen them buy. Anyway, I guess the mirror is a good old paper, but when all the men had come home I thought I would take the papers to the folks that weren't on the street, like the schoolma'ams and the sisters. Well, most of them hot fine, except Miss Lee, the Sunday school teacher, and she said the mirror was a low down politician's sheet, and I said, "Buy it for Lily Blanche, her help," and she said, "What are you so anxious to sell papers fer?" And I said, "How do you expect me to support a kid in France if you people won't help out?" And she said, "The Lord will provide," but I told her I would ruther do it myself, and she said, "I guess he's doing it through you," so at last she forked it up, and I went home at 6 o'clock, but I tell you I had a pretty tough day. Say, how is your muscle? Have you any brothers and sisters? I have 5. They are Amanda, age 16, Cecilia, aged 10, Myra Louise, aged 7, Molly, aged 6, and Heloise, aged 5. I come between the first 2. Dad wanted to call Heloise Omega after Alfred and Omega in the Bible, but Mother said that was foolish, and I guess it was, because there was no boy to be Alfred except me, and I was already James, so he give it up. Sid Perkins is supporting a girl in France, and he's awful rich, and don't have to work to keep her going. Gee, I'm glad you're a boy. Girls is all right in their line, but I wouldn't adopt one for love or money. Can you hear the shooting from where you are? I have seen the new American submarine, and it is a fine bus. I tell you, if ever the Yankees come running over there, you won't see Kaiser Bill for dust. Do you like Prisoner's Base? What grade are you in? Well, hoping you are well, and that some day we will meet somewhere in France, I will close. Your affectionate godfather, James Pendergrass Jackson, Jr. P.S. If I ever go to war, and I enlist and go to France, I might take you back to New York on furlough. 16 December 1916. Dear Benefactor, I thank you with the bottom of my heart for your kindness unto me. Maman and me have been so content to receive your letter and your donation generous. Your succor will sweeten the times difficult that we are traversing, and the silver you send will permit me to eat of the meat and be forceful to aid Maman, as she has so much of labor and of pain. I will tell you, dear benefactor, that I am not the most robust, but I take the oil of liver of codfish all the days for make myself high and good carrying. Yes, dear benefactor, I will forget never what you do, and all the nights I make a prayer for you be happy in the life. I cannot read your letter very well alone, because I know not sufficient the English, but I have one aunt. She is dead. She know very well the English, and she teach me of it, and my great sister also. She is a dactylographer, and she know the English very perfect, and she me aids so I do mistakes not at all. And I serve me of the dictionary also. Maman says your letters will make complete my education, but some words I comprehend not. What is, for example, the kid? I search, and I see it only is the offspring of a goat. I am sure in the book is the mistake, for my dear godfather will not make the pain to me and my maman in calling me the offspring of a goat. Dear godfather, I am so surprised that you be so much heavy. I have 11 years like you, and I am only 39 kilogram heavy. But in Amerique, maman tell me, all is big, big. It is droll, so big little boys. Sometimes I ask myself if you are veritably a little boy. Perhaps it is to make laugh you tell me you are one infant. Perhaps you are the old gentleman. Tell me, dear godfather, what is the Sunday school? In Paris, we go not to school this Sunday. We rise more lately, and we dress more pretty than the days of week, and for breakfast we eat the cacao in lieu of soup of potato left of last night, and we go to the grand mass with maman. Little brother Jean is one infant of choir at the church. He do nothing but balance and smoke the incense, and be pretty like one angel. because his hairs are like the gold, and his eyes like the heaven when the sun makes shine. And all the beginning he was not content, because the smoking make him sneeze, and he did cry, and he wanted not to endorse the dress white with lace. He say he resemble to a girl, and he believe all the world in the church was regarding him. But now he is habituated, and he become more sage. It is very necessary he become sage, because he is so devil. Yesterday, for example, Monsieur le Curé gave him a pretty card postal with the image of angels, and tell him he must apply to resemble to them. And Jean responded, No, I want not to be the angel and have wings like one hen. Mr. le Curé says it is Satan that commands the wicked words like that, and when he go to fall in temptation, Jean must say, Va retro Satanas, and that makes Satan go behind. And Jean says, Yes, but then Satan go at my back and push hard, so I fall. It is very sad little Jean be so much bad. I tell you, dear benefactor, that I effort myself to work and be very sage, so little brother make mortal on me. I go to catechism 2 times by week, and I am on the table of honor, and for Christmas, Monsieur le Curé give me a pretty shawl for hold my neck and shoulders warm when I go to school. For Christmas, Jean put his shoes in the chimney for the little Jesus to fill them like all the years, but Maman says to him, This year the little Jesus carry nothing, because with all the sauce in the world, he want to get our big victory, so the dirty Boches kill no more our dear papas. But, grace to you, the morning of Noel the shoes were all of the same replenished. There was apples red, and some chocolate and stockings with long legs. We make many of holes in our stockings, and all the time there is no more cloth in places, so Maman cuts them down. So in the beginning they are long, then 1/2 long, then socks. It was socks all the winter, dear benefactor, but when your silver come, the legs come long again. In the after-dinner Noel we made a promenade in the woods of the Boulogne, and now is the vacancies of Noel, and I aid Maman, and she make me some black aprons new for to go to school, and I sit myself down on the side of her. She loves not that I play in the streets, because she desire that I be well elevated. And it is much snow in Paris. It makes so cold that I love not to go out. Dear benefactor, you demand what grade I am. I comprehend not. Only the officers have a grade. Are you an officer? I think yes, because you talk so much the submarines, etc. I have nothing more to say at you, but Maman joins herself to me to pray you to agree, dear benefactor, the expression of our sentiments the most distinguished and respect to us. Your Godchild, Andrée Leblanc. End of section 1.
Section 2 of Dear Godchild. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Phil Chenevert. Dear Godchild by Marguerite Bernard and Edith Serrell. Section 2. Letters 5 to 8. Greenville Falls, New York, January 2, 1917. Dear Miss Secretary, there is something off about my godchild. You know, the one you give me to support. Well, Dad roared when he saw the letter, but I think he is a nut, and Mother says he is too elevated for me. So, hoping you will get me another one, I will close hoping you are well. Yours truly, James P. Jackson, Jr. P.S. I will write just the same to this one till you get me another one. Greenville Falls, New York, January 2, 1917. Dear Godchild, how are you? I got your letter all right, and what I would like to know is what in thunder is that goat stuff you're driving at? I didn't call you no names, except Dear Godchild and Kid, and you are both, and a godchild is a godchild, and sometimes a kid is a goat, and sometimes a goat is a kid, and if you don't stop your kidding, you'll get my goat, see? Maybe you didn't mean to be fresh, and if you didn't, we'll call it square and say no more about it. Anyway, I guess you use that bloomin' dictionary too much. Dictionaries is like girls, and is all right in their line, but I ain't got much use for them, and you had best chuck yours out the window. I guess 85 pounds is a good old weight, but 39 is something fierce. Why, even Heloise, age 5, weighs 45, and she don't eat any of that codfish liver. And say, what does it taste like anyway? I bet it tastes like old Get Out. I told Mother you weighed only 39, and she said, my goodness, he must have tuberculosis. And Dad said, no, he has not had enough meat. But I said, no, but he is going to have some now. I am supporting him. What do you think? I got enough money to support you for 2 weeks. And if you will cross your heart not to tell, because I promised I wouldn't, and you must do the same, I will tell you how it happened. Well, it was this way. I was reading The Motor Boys Under the Sea behind the portieres, and it's great when in walks Carl O'Dell, the young feller across the way, and Amanda, age 16, and they set down and didn't say much, and by, Carl, he takes Amanda's hand and says, Amanda, you know how 'tis with me? And she says, why, no, how is it, Carl? And he says, I love you. And she says to Carl, this is so sudden. And he says, little girl, will you be my wife? And she says, oh, Carl, I don't know. And he says, I demand an answer, yes or no. And she says, well, I don't know, but as I will. And he said, sweetheart, what day shall it be? And I stepped out and said, hold on, don't go and make it Tuesday, because Amanda's promised to go fishing, and Dad won't let me go to Frost Lake without her, 'cause it's 16 feet deep. And you should have seen them jump. They was scared plump out of their wits. And Amanda, she says, if he tells Dad, I shall die. And Carl, he grabbed me by one ear and said, Jim, I give you the choice of keeping quiet and getting $1.50 or squealing and being skinned alive. And I said, well, I am supporting a boy in France, so I will take the coin. So I crossed my heart and said, hope to die if I squeal, and you must do the same, 'cause by and by, if the Yanks come running over there, you might meet a friend of Carl O'Dell's, and he'd tell another friend, and by, all the Yanks would know it, and it would get back to Carl O'Dell's ears. I bet that Gene is some brother. Say he's all right, all except his name. Couldn't you make it Buster? Say, what do you want to go wearing a shawl for? First thing you know, all the boys will call you Girlie, and I don't intend to have no godchild of mine called that, no sirree, not if I have to skin them alive for it. I know it's hard when things are give to you not to wear them. Last year, the Sunday school teacher give me a baby blue tie, and darned if I didn't have to wear it every Sunday till Lady Evelyn Jack Burton's father, best bulldog, found it and ate it. But you go easy on that shawl. Never mind about Sunday school, just you be glad you don't have to go to it. Though I don't know but going to see that balancing stunt of Gene's is just as bad. And don't you be asking too many questions about me. Maybe I'm an officer, and maybe I'm not. And maybe I know something about submarines, and maybe I don't. But I wouldn't let it surprise you if I come riding in one of those buses one of these days. And if I do, and I like you, I might even take you back with me to New York. And then, good night. You'll see some sights. Say, what's that dope on Sage? Hoping you are well and will write to me soon. I will now close, hoping you are well. Your affectionate godfather, James P. Jackson, Jr. P.S. I made Carl O'Dell give me the money right off because he is a red Indian for cheating. Did you get the Christmas presents I sent you? 18 Rue Autancourt, Paris, 4 January 1917. Dear Godfather, the big packet from America come late, but I receive it today, and I thank you very much. You are very good to think so much of me, and it is pretty, dear benefactor. There is one glove only, and I am fearful that the other rested on the road, but it made nothing. I have not business of two, because one is big enough for my 2 hands, and it is a muff very warm, but veritably, dear godfather, you are big as giants in America. The little cage is very commodious too, and very pretty. Jean believes it a muzzle for dog, but no. I comprehend it is for suspend on the ceiling for to make pretty the house with plants green climbing. Goodbye, dear benefactor. I kiss you with the bottom of my heart. Your godchild all devoted, A. Leblanc. Greenfield Falls, New York. Dear Miss Secretary, please, you must do something quick about my orphan. He is awful. I sent the baseball glove and mask for Christmas, and he used them for a muff and to hang plants in. And he wears a shawl and sits on the table of something, and now he is kissing me with the bottom of his heart, and that is the limit, and he must cut it out, because I won't stand for that. Hoping you are well and you will answer soon. In answer to my letter, I will close. Yours truly, James P. Jackson, Jr. 18 Rue d'Autancourt, Paris, 18 January 1917. Dear benefactor, I thank you for your pretty letter, so interesting. My great sister Marie worked very hard for to aid me read it, but it is very difficult to comprehend. It is because you talk the American and the dictionary talk only the English. I will try to learn the American if you will give me the instructions. Dear godfather, you are not in anger against me. I always make attention to be polite and genteel, because already I love you from far. But Marie say there is the misunderstanding in our letters she cannot explicate. For 3 nights I sleep not well, because I search to comprehend what it is that makes bad. Then this morning I have the idea brilliant that is on the Place de Clex, the dentist American. It is writ on his door. Dr. Yanket and Maman go to sew on the dresses of Madame. She talk very well with 2 tongues, and Maman says she regard the letters, then she laugh very strong. Then she say to Maman, console your infant. It may sleep on the 2 ears, because the godfather is one very genteel little boy. And then she write a little paper she desire me copy for you, very careful. Here it is. Jimmy, in Uncle Sam's name, I am proud of you. You're the right sort. Keep it up and don't get cold feet. For that godchild of yours is very much all right, as you will very soon realize. But let me give you frankly just one piece of friendly advice. Don't tell your kid to chuck the dictionary out the window, but rather get one yourself and polish up your English. Your spelling and your vocabulary are, to use your own expression, something fierce. How can you expect the poor little French child to understand your slang? There. I have made copy, and again I understand not very well, but I am sure it will go to make all arrange, and I know that you are one little boy. I am so content. Dear godfather, it is very droll the fashion you do to make silver in Amerique, but it is very dangerous, and never in Paris do we like that. I see in my book of images English how the terrible redskins scalp the enemy. Skin 'em alive, like you say, and I see the image of the chief. He have long hairs black, with plumes red and green, and chains brilliant suspended, and he carry in the middle one little apron of fur, and he have not knowledge of le bon Dieu. It is called trading with the Indians. Oh, please, dear godfather, do not for me trading with the Indians. I will permit not that you risk to be skin alive. I make the promise, like you say, and I make, like you, the sign of cross. But I hope not to die if I squeal. I cry not very often, but sometimes, and my poor maman will be too much desolated if I die. Goodbye, dear godfather. Believe at my sentiments the more affectuous. Your godchild, A. Leblanc. End of section 2. Section 3 of Dear Godchild. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Phil Chenevert. Dear Godchild by Marguerite Bernard and Edith Serrell. Section 3. letters 9 to 12. To Mr. James P. Jackson, Jr. Dear Sir, I am much interested in the account of your correspondence with your French godchild, and I would advise you not to be discouraged if he does not seem in every way to be living up to your expectations. You must remember that these fatherless children have suffered more deeply and more courageously than you can possibly imagine. If his letters sound rather effeminate, I hope you will in time realize that it is merely a difference of language and convention that gives you that impression. The French are very affectionate and demonstrative people. You know that even their Papa Joffre kisses his brave soldiers on both cheeks when he decorates them. You are doing splendid work for a boy of your age. I hope you will not let small prejudices get in your way. Remember, you are unusually fortunate to have a child who can write in English. With my best wishes and congratulations, I remain cordially yours, Secretary for the Junior Committee of the Fatherless Children of France. Greenville Falls, New York, February 3rd, 1917. Dear Godchild, how are you? Say, will you do me a favor and cut out kissing me with the bottom of your heart? If you think you ought to do it, you can kiss me on both cheeks. If that is the custom, I guess I can stand it, but I had rather you did not kiss me at all, if it is the same to you, as we shake hands in America. Say that Mrs. Yankee is some woman, believe me, and you had better keep away from her. First thing you know, she'll be trying to make me go to school every day and buy a dictionary. What's she know about the American language, anyway? Would she have to come butting in with her two tongues between us? You are my godchild and I am your godfather, and if there's anything you don't understand, I am the one to explain. You can tell that Yankee woman she had better be helping her husband with his teeth and let us alone, and to put that in her pipe and smoke it. I am glad you like the Christmas presents I sent you, and if you want to string the mask from the ceiling, you are welcome to it. But it is meant to keep your nose from getting smashed when a hardball comes binging through the air. Say, that must be some stunt, sleeping on both ears. I have slept on my stomach, and on my back, and on one ear, but not on both. Last night we had Welsh rabbit for supper, and I did not sleep anyway. It is a good thing I have that $1.50 Carl Odell gave me, because I do not feel all right, and Mother won't let me go out to work. But I guess I will get out soon enough, so don't worry about my supporting you. Say, that's all right about the Red Indians. Of course, they ain't as numerous as they was once, but they are still plentiful in parts, and don't let that worry you, 'cause I've been brought up with them and know how to handle them. Redskins is like snakes, and it's all right if you keep your eye on them. Of course, I wouldn't advise you to meddle with them, but I guess I can look out for myself. Say, how is Gene, and has he done any more stunts? I have a sister Molly, age 6, and she is going to write plays, and say she turns out some great stuff. Yesterday she dressed Cecilia, you know, the one age 7, as a queen, and Molly, she was the subject brought in before her and said, Your Majesty, today unto you a child is born, and Cecilia, the queen, said, Bring it in, and Molly, the subject, brought in Snooky the cat, only it was the child then, and it was all rigged up in Heloise's clothes, and by, Heloise, who was a wicked king, come running in to kidnap the baby, and she said, No, he said because she was a king, that is my child, and the subject said, It is not, and the king said, It is too, and the subject says, as cool as a cucumber, Your Majesty, you are a liar. And then they had the darndest fight over that baby you ever saw. First the king hit the subject bingo in the eye, then the subject he pinched the baby's tail, you know Snooky's, and by Mother come running in and stuck them all in bed. But it was a bully fight. I feel awfully queer, so I guess I will close, hoping you are better than I feel. Your affectionate godfather, James P. Jackson, Jr. P.S. Do you like rabbit? I hate it. P.S. Don't forget to tell that Yankee woman to put what I told you in her pipe and smoke it. 18 Rue d'Autancourt, Paris, 18 February 1917. Dear Godfather, how are you? I hope you are no more fatigued. Sure, I will send you the kiss cut out as you say if you prefer, and also I will shake your hand. I will do all things American and all things that make you pleasure. But, dear Godfather, you demand that I tell to Madame Yanquette to smoke the pipe, and I like not to say that because she is one very great lady, very gentille. But Mamma says that is only a fashion of talk American, and I must not make attention to it. Yes, dear Godfather, I like rabbit. When we live in the country, we have two, one white and one black, and at the end of time we have 26. But not Welsh rabbits, French. They make not sick like yours. Dear benefactor, I will write you not very long this day, for my great brother Jules come tonight on permission of 4 days, and I am much obliged to age Mamma arrange all things clean and pretty. I will relate on him in my letter of the week next. I squeeze your hand and envoy to you the kiss cut out with my heart. Your godchild, Andrée Leblanc. Greenfield Falls, New York, February 5th, 1917. Dear Godchild, how are you? It wasn't the rabbit, it was the whooping cough. I guess I'm going to die all right. J.P.J. 18 Rue d'Autancourt, Paris, February 20, 1917. Dear Godfather, your letter make me cry. I will permit you not to die. When I get your letter, I go and break my tire lyre. It is the little dog of porcelain with one hole in the stomach. Mamma gave it to me for my fête de Saint André, and she give me 2 sous for to put in the hole all the Sundays, and it come out never more until it break. You comprehend? I guard the little dog under my pillow, and it make bad in my heart to break it. But what will you, my dear Godfather, who is only one child like me, work strong like a man for make me happy, and I would break not my tire lyre for to save him from death? Oh, yes, 1,000 times yes. So I take it out in the court and open the stomach with 1 stone, and I make to fall out 26 sous. And I go to the store of objets pious, and I demand 1 candle of 26 sous, or 2 candles of 13 sous. But the lady say 13 is a number of unhappiness, so she gives me 1 of 25 sous, and 1 sou of paper of lace of gold to put around. And I go quick to the church, put up the candle to Sainte Vierge, and she will see it from the sky, and she will see you also in America, and make you not to die. Monsieur le Curé see the little flag American that you send me, and that I attach to the candlestick, and he caress my head and say, what for is it? So I tell him, and he say I am very genteel. But all of a hit I melt in tears because I know I am not genteel, dear Godfather. I am very, very bad and wicked. I tell not the truth, and I conduct not myself well unto you. Perhaps you will pardon me never. I go to confession, and Monsieur le Curé say for my penance I must also confess to you that I am one little girl. Oh, dear Godfather, be not too much in anger. I am so sad. I comprehend not how it arrived, but when you write to me and say you love not the little girls, I was afraid and responded nothing. Dear Godfather, I will tell you that when I was little I pray often le bon Dieu make me one boy, because you know for him nothing is impossible. But he wish I remain a girl, and now I have cheated, and he punish me very strong and make you so much fatigué. You almost die. I cannot write more this day because I am too sad. But if you die, not please tell me soon, because I am so much unquiet. I assure you I will never more be so villain. Your godchild repentant, Andrée Leblanc. P.S. Maman say le Comité Américain put me like one boy. It is the 2 E that make one girl. P.P.S. I search what is whooping cough, but I find it not. Surely it is the very dangerous malady. But if you die, you go to paradise. Monsieur le Curé promised me. End of section 3.
Section 4 of Dear Godchild. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by MaryAnn. Dear Godchild, by Marguerite Bernard and Edith Serrell. Section 4. Letters 13 to 20. Greenville Falls, New York. Dear Miss Secretary, the boy you give me is a girl. What are you going to do about it? Yours respectfully, James P. Jackson, Jr. Dear Mr. Jackson, in reply to your letter, we would state that the mistake was due to the handwriting of the child's mother, making the name appear to be spelt with one E instead of two, and thus making it a boy's name. We will endeavor, as soon as possible, to repair our error, as it was never our intention to deceive you. Very truly yours, Junior Committee of the Fatherless Children of France. Greenville Falls, New York. Dear Miss Secretary, I didn't say you were deceiving. I just want to tell you the boy you give me was a girl, so you would not make that mistake again. It is the limit, when you have told the fellers you had a boy, to go and get a girl. And when I shod the letter to Dad, he said, "By Jove, you're in a fine position, you are." And I said, "How is that?" And he said, "First thing you know, you will get yourself talked about, writing to a girl in France, and that would be fine, wouldn't it? Respectfully yours, J. P. Jackson, Jr. Greenville Falls, New York, March 7th, 1917. Dear Godchild, I received your letter, and I did not die. Of course you can't help being a girl instead of a boy, and that's all right, because Heloise and Myra Louise and Nellie, the girl next door, and pretty nearly everybody would rather be a boy than a girl, but you were the limit to fib about it, and you have put me in an awful queer position, so no more for this time. Your godfather, J. P. Jackson, Jr. P.S. I will support you the same, so do not worry. Paris, 21 March 1917. Dear Mr. James, I have your letter, and I perceive that you are very much offensed. One time more I demand pardon, but I cannot be like you want, and by consequence I can never more call myself your dear godchild. If you love me not, and I am offensive, I have not business of you and your silver. Please give it to one unhappy little boy. It is worth better that I have hunger. It is worth better that I be made dead by the Boches, than to be like one little mendicant. I demand to maman if it is not true, and she says yes. I thank you for all the pain you did take for me, and I forget never. When I become grand, I will render to you all you pay for me. Goodbye, Monsieur James. Receive the expression of my best salutations. Andrée Leblanc. Greenville Falls, New York, April 2nd, 1917. Dear Godchild, Say, what is the matter with you anyway, and why don't you want me to support you any longer? I am your godfather, and you are my godchild, and it is a legal affair, Dad says, and if anybody says anything about it, they will have to deal with me, see? Anyway, maybe I was kinder cranky about it, and you kinder fibbed, so let's say we had a scrap and shake on it, and let it go at that. Lots of fellers here have scraps with girls, and last week Dinky Odell, who is Carl Odell's youngest brother, had one with Heloise, 'cause he hollered, "Heloise, go wash your feet, the board of health's across the street," at her, and she cried. But he sent her a peach of a poem to make it up, and here it is. If you don't like me any more, then I shall enlist and go to war. I guess Dinky's going to be a poet all right. You know I might go to war too. Lots of the fellers here are enlisting in the foreign regiments. There's Carl Odell, who has joined the Canadian Royal Flying Orps, and Hanky Jones is going to drive a truck in France, and I guess he will be some driver all right, because he has drove the new automobile hearse here for 2 years now, and says he goes like the dickens. Course I ain't saying I'm going to enlist right away, but I got some ideas in mind, and I'm thinking of raising a regiment of Boy Scouts or Red Indians. I guess the Redskins would be the best. And say, Wouldn't Kaiser Bill look cheap if he saw a bunch of redskins beating it after him? I bet he'd run to beat the band. And I bet they'd catch him. And if they did, good night for Kaiser Bill. Say, they wouldn't do a thing to him except maybe scalp him or skin him alive. And wouldn't he look cheap then? Redskins is awful fierce when they get going, and I don't reckon anybody could stop them once they got started. We had an awful scare last night. I've been supporting you all day chopping wood, and I was dead beat, but all of a sudden I was woke up by Dad, and he was yelling, "Murder, murder!" And Amanda and Cecilia and Mother, who had their hair in curl papers, rushed in, and there was Dad having a bully fight in bed, and he was punching the pillow and yelling, "Murder, murder!" And we was all scared to go near him because he would punch us like the pillow. So Mother took a pitcher of cold water and threw it in his face, and that woke him up, and he was mad as time, and said, "What you trying to do, drown me?" And then he laughed, and he told us his dream, and it was this way. Max Dinkelheim, the shoemaker, was a German spy, and he was trying to sell hot dogs with bombs in them, and no one knew that there was bombs in them except Dad. And he said, "You dirty Fritz, cut that out." And Max, he grabbed Dad by the hair, and Dad, he yanked Max by the ear, and they was having a bully fight when out came 5 more Germans and begun to paste Dad on the head, and of course he couldn't manage the 6 of them, so he was yelling, "Murder, murder!" And then he got the pitcher of water, and that was all. I bet Dad could have licked the stuffing out of Max Dinkelheim all right. I bet we're going to have a war this week, and if we do, Dad says the Kaiser will find out he has bit off more than he can chew. And you had better make up with me, 'cause I think you are all right, and if we have a war I might be in a position to help you. Thank you for burning that candle for me. We have been burning some sulphur ones for Heloise and Molly, and they seem to be getting along nicely. Don't forget when you write to say you are not mad at me any more. Your affectionate godfather, James P. Jackson, Jr. P.S. How's your big brother making out? P.P.S. Thank you very much for busting that dog for me. I have a pig with a hole in it, and if I earn enough money next week I will send it to you. P.P.P.S. Who is that Mr. le Cure you talk so much about? 18 Rue de Autancourt, April 16th. Dear Monsieur James, when I go to school the week past, I see the flag of America floating well high, and all the world is content because you come to aid us terminate by a peace victorious this war so terrible, and be like one brother for the triumph of the justice and the liberty and the humanity. That is what the mistress of school explicate to us, and we love and honor the Amerique like the great sister Republique. And then she tell us, get up and learn chant the song of the Banner of Stars. Perhaps you have heard it. It begins, "O dis, voyez-vous à l'air du matin," etc. The mistress writes it all on the tables black, and we copy in lieu of the exercise of grammar, and that makes us all joyful. But all that make me think so much of you, that I cannot empress myself, even if you are no more my godfather, to pin the little flag American that you give me on my heart, that save you from death by the Huppenkopf, when I attached it to the candle of St. Verga. And then, pending the recreation of midday, I go home, and the factor bring your letter. And when I return to school, I effort myself so strong to read your letter, that I cannot make it like it must my chart geographique. But I promise Isabelle Gavoux, the little girl of the merchant of shoes, that if she will to aid me, I will lend her my pretty handkerchief new, for go to church the morning of Easter. So we be all content, and I have very much the time to reflect and respond at your letter. Dear Monsieur James, I comprehend that you want I continue to be your dear godchild. I demand to maman what to do, and she says, take the silver and make no more infantile foolishness. Only 1 onion costs 5 sous now, and the life is very hard. But Amerique have the great heart to help us and give us the hand, and we work all for the two of the patrie. So, dear godfather, we be not mad at ourselves any more, and I promise I make no more the fib, and you make no more the cranky, is it not? I must to make many progress in American, for when you come, I reckon you come like the Dickens, like yell and thunder, with the skin 'em alive redskins and the hot dogs. Dear benefactor, what is the hot dogs? My great sister says it is a species of machine gun American. It is very funny your papa make the wicked dream. You have the very beautiful family. Me too. Great brother Jules is already the corporal, and he is like the Chevalier Bayard, without fear and without reproach. One day he tell me a great éclat de bleu take off his hat, and he pick it off the ground and say, "Oh, Fritz, I wanted not to be so polite and salute you." And my great brother tell me many things important on the war, but I write them not, because the censure would scold me, perhaps put me in prison. Pending his permission of 4 days, he teach little Jean the chants of the regiment. Some are not for the little infants, maman says, so he whistle them. But Jean love the military chants much more than the ones of Latin he learned to sing in the church, and I hope he mix them not. Dear godfather, tomorrow is Easter, and I am making an egg for you. It is a surprise, so I tell you not what is in it. Your affectionate godchild, Andrée Leblanc. May 15th, 1917. Greenville Falls, New York. Dear Godchild, Gee whiz, but Kaiser Bill is in for it. Gee whiz, you ought to see how Uncle Sam is fixing up for him. Joe Kelly and Walter Daly and a lot of the fellers are going in for aviation. And Bill Wilson's scoutmaster and organizing a crack bunch of Boy Scouts, and we have a home defense, and Dad has got a uniform and a wooden gun, and he says it is a pretty good bunch of fellers, but he could do more with them if he was captain instead of Mr. Larkin, who is a good feller, but a bum apton. I ain't saying much, but I got a few ideas, and I wouldn't let it surprise you if I was to invent something one of these days. But I can't tell you what it is because the censor would cut it out. I got your egg, and I thank you for it. But say, it got me in Dutch all right. It was this way. The postman brought the package just as I was going to school, and I didn't have time to open it. So I took it along, and we was having some special exercises for Colonel Dudley, who was to talk on Do Your Bit to Help Win the War, and Bug Hadley was reciting the Gettysburg Address, and I opened the package, and there was your egg all smashed up. I guess them cardboard eggs ain't very strong, or maybe the censor didn't handle it gently. Anyhow, it was smashed, and the curl inside it was there all right, only it was kind of mixed up with the cream candy, and I was unmixing them when Lily Graham, who set behind me, whispered to Ernie Dinkelheim, who is Max Dinkelheim's youngest son, Jimmy Jackson's girl in France has sent him a curl. And Ernie started to laugh and say, "Oh, you Curly, Curly Jackson." And I said, "You shut up." And he said, "Oh, pooh-pooh, pooh-pooh." And I said, "Don't you pooh-pooh me." And he said, "Who'll I pooh-pooh then?" And I said, "Pooh-pooh the Kaiser." And he said, "The Kaiser won't let me pooh-pooh him, and you leave him alone." And I said, "The Kaiser is Bughouse." And Ernie, he made a grab at me and landed me one on the chin, and I pasted him one on the eye, and Bug Hadley, he stopped saying the Gettysburg Address, and Miss Davis, she was jumping up and down hollering, oh boys, stop them, stop them." And Colonel Dudley, he hopped off the stand and pulled us apart, and Miss Davis was for putting us on the platform with our arms on each other's shoulders, but the Colonel said, "No, it is that other boy's fault," and sent him home. So they sent Ernie home, and he was mad as time. Then the Colonel gave his talk, and said how the girls could help by making the bandages, and how the boys could find out who was for the government and who wasn't. I bet Ernie and his father isn't, and I'm going to keep my eye on them. Then we sang the French national anthem, and it is a fine hymn, and it goes this way in English. Ye sons of France, awake to glory, the day of victory has come. Your children's wives and sires horny, behold their tears. And that's as far as I've learnt. We have got to learn all of it. And there is a bully part that goes, March on. Yesterday the Fife and Drum Corps played it and the Star-Spangled Banner, and some of the boys laughed, 'cause the fifes sort of squeaked. I don't see how anybody can laugh when they play the Star-Spangled Banner. Did you get my pig? I supported you this week by polishing 10 door handles at 7 cents each. Some of them was already polished, but the folks was real nice about it and let me give them an extra polish. Say, Why don't you tell me who Mr. le Cure is? I have asked you 2 times now. And say, if I was you I wouldn't say, come like the Dickens or skin them alive or any of that kind of talk. It is all right for boys who are used to roughing it, but it is not nice for girls. So if I was you I would go easy on it. And hot dogs ain't machine guns. They are sausages that are made from them low down German dogs that have short legs. But they test bully in a roll. The Villets and Pollywogs have come, and I would send you some, but I guess they would dry up before you got them. Anyway, you needn't worry much about the war now that Uncle Sam is in it, and we will lick the stuffin' out of him together. I mean out of Kaiser Bill. Your affectionate godfather, James P. Jackson, Jr. P.S. Bug Hadley said it was lucky for him Ernie and I had that fight, because he had forgot what come after, and dedicated to the proposition. End of section 4.
Section 5 of Dear Godchild. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Phil Chenevert. Dear Godchild by Marguerite Bernard and Edith Serrell. Section 5, letters 21 to 25. June 3rd, 1917, 18 Rue d'Autancourt, Paris. Dear Godfather, it is great damage that the pretty egg of Easter I sent you be smashed up, but I regret yet more that to receive my paquet make you dispute yourself in Dutch, like you say, with the little villain in school. All the same, I am content you landed him one in the eye. I comprehend not what you want say by that, but I am sure the little Boche comprehend, and you are one valiant patriot. Dear Godfather, why say you the girls must go easy to learn the American? I effort myself to be instructed with the words in your letters. The dictionary contains not, but if they are nothing but for little boys, I pray you to tell me the pretty words for the little girls. I am sure my dear godfather serves himself not of villain talk. Jean was put in penitence yesterday because he say one word that is for police only, and Mamma turned him against the wall in the corner with the hands behind, and do you know what he do when we regard him not? He lick the paper on the wall and make it to come off. So Mamma give him the spank. Dear godfather, I am happy to make you a little pleasure in sending you my portrait. I think it is well succeeded and very resembling, and will you have the obligeance to envoy to me the one of you? Dear godfather, I make to you a list of words American I comprehend not, and I hope you will have the obligeance to explain them to me. What is, for example, gee whiz, fellers, boy scouts, bum, home defense, colonel, Gettysburg address, maybe, poo-poo, bug house, the Dickens, pollywogs, and lick the stuffin' out. I effort myself very strong to find them, but it is not worth the pain to search any longer in the dictionary. Your affectionate godchild, Andrée Leblanc. Greenville Falls, New York, July 5th, 1917. Dear Godchild, how are you? I don't see that there is any fun in life any more. I earned $1.56 picking cherries off the Burton's black cherry tree, and I thought that would make 70 cents for you, and I would spend the rest on firecrackers. Well, Toby, that is the Burton's mastiff that is always chained up, broke loose. And I guess he remembered when Johnny Smith and me had swiped some cherries last year when he was chained up, because he give one yip and come and set right under that tree, and he set there and grinned at me all afternoon, and by there was a thunder shower, and I had on my blue pants that was made from Dad's that had got too tight for him, and I thought when it began to rain Toby would beat it, but he just set there and didn't move till by Mr. Burton come along and yanked him away by the collar. Well, I hatched the cherries all right, but I was soaked clear through and the color had come off my pants and on my legs. It was fierce to have blue legs. Well, I thought I would stop and buy a cannon cracker and a pistol, and I wasn't going to fire them off before the 4th, but old Max Dinkelheim was walking kind of slow in front of me, and I thought I would try the pistol just once to see if it worked. So I walked a little faster, and I shot it off. Bingo! And you should have seen old Max jump. He gave one flop in the air and hollered, "A boom! A boom!" I guess he thought it was a submarine, and when he saw it was me, beat it after me, and we run all the way home. And Max, he run right into Dad and said, "Where's that boy? I will teach him to molest a peaceful citizen." And Dad said, "What has he done?" And he told him and said, "I am going to give him the best licking of his life." And Dad rolled up his sleeves and said, "Not till you lick me first." And Max kind of looked at Dad, just like in the dream, and I guess he was scarred, so he said, "If you will promise to see he is punished, I will leave it to you." And Dad said, "I promise." And Max left, and Dad he come up and was mad as old get out, and he took my pistol and cannon away, and I had rather he had give me a licking, because after 2 days you can set down and all right again. We have just heard the Yanks have landed somewhere in France. Say, if you see a bunch of real fighters, you just go and take a look at 'em, and you might tell your brother Jules to take a look at them too, as he might get some ideas from them. I can tell you what all those words mean. Gee whiz is just gee whiz, and a feller is a guy who is about 12 or 18, and a bum is a feller or something that is no good, and a pollywog is an animal that is going to be a frog, and poo-poo is poo-poo, and bughouse means you have rats in the upper story, and you had better find out about the Gettysburg Address and the Boy Scouts and maybe and the Dickens yourself, but I would go easy on them if I was you. What do you want to ask me all them things for anyway? I ain't asked you what the vacancies or all of a hit or pinned in or any of those things are, am I? I got your photo, and I like the way your hair curls and your eyes too and everything, and I am glad you are not laughing. Girls that giggle are the limit. I have one photo of myself, and I look as if I would die grinning because the man that took it was jumping up and down and saying, "Look here, look here." Say, would you really like to have it? I don't think you would. I don't see what good I am anyway. I am too young to enlist, and I don't think you really like me. I guess maybe I had better go to sea or something. Your affectionate godfather, James P. Jackson, Jr. P.S. I went butterflying today and had good luck. 18 Rue d'Autancourt, Paris, August 2nd, 1917. Dear Godfather, you know what it is, the cafard? In the dictionary it says it is a roach, and that is a little beast black, like your pollywogs, I think. But in the Poilu talk it means not that. When there is no more fun in life, I am not good for anything anyhow, like you say. That is what they call to have the cafard, and it is very bad in the army. It is to make a bad morale, and we must wind ourselves up. Dear Godfather, you must be content because I love you much, and you take so great pain and you labor so hard to entertain me. I want make you happy in your heart, so you have no more the cafard. Dear Godfather, I will tell you the American Polus have come. On Monday last, we hear the music on the road, and the mistress tell us this afternoon all the children must put on aprons clean, and we go to see past the Americans. And Maman gave me 5 sous for purchase a bouquet for give them in souvenir of my dear godfather, and the fleurist gave me 2 roses red, and I enveloped them in paper wet for hold them fresh. And all the little girls march in rank like soldiers, 2 by 2, on the road where the Americans come. And the gendarmes march before us to make spread open the crowd, so we come. And we stand in the rank, and it make a very long line, and shake the flag American and wait. The sun was brilliant,
and very hot. And after a very long moment, we hear the big music come around the corner, and all bodies were screaming, Vive l'Amérique! Vive les États-Unis! Hurrah, Samis! And the gentlemen throw up their hats in the air, and all of a hit, we see the banner of stars coming down the street, and I look, and all the little girls at a time kneel themselves on the sidewalk, and I make the sign of the cross, and the little girls at back of me laugh and mock at me, but the mistress say it is all right. The sign of the cross is good for the flag too. And when the flag pass, we arise and say hurrah also, and one soldier American regard me with a smile. Then I take my courage with 2 hands and cast away the roses on him, and he catch and kiss me with his hand, and put the roses in his coat. His name is Teddy, and I love him much. I know, because he come see me, because I write my name with 2 E's, and a dress tied to the roses. My mamma was very much surprised when she see Monsieur Teddy come and ring to the door. He is very well elevated and very beautiful. He has buckled hairs and a line on one side, and his figure is raised. His uniform is the color of the ground. It is not so much pretty as the French police, who are the color of the sky. And his hat is tied like a bonnet of old woman, with a shoelace in the back. But I love him all the same. He take me on his knees and say, Parlez-vous français? And he began to recite the verb au revoir, because he know nothing more of French. And so I say I know very well the American, and I talk to him, and he laugh very strong. And he give me a piece of bonbon, very droll. It is mint, but it is like elastic. I eat a great number of pieces because I want not to offense him, and Teddy all of a hit becomes very much frightened. What? He say, you did swallow the chewing gum. And I say, naturellement, I swallow the bonbon. And Teddy say a bad English word and run away without his hat. And he come back with a bottle of ipecac, and I will not take because I know what it may do. And poor Teddy was very much desolated. He come every day to get my news, and today he brings a bonbon French that we swallow. Today he asked me, will I be his little adopted girl the next year when you have finished with me? And I say, maybe I will. And he say, bully for you, you're a peach. I make him write because it is the American and not in the dictionary. Goodbye, dear godfather, your affectionate godchild, Andrée Leblanc. P.S. I am surprised you ask who is Monsieur le Curé. Only the pagans have not knowledge of him. Are you one pagan? I think you say that to make laugh. It is very bad to mock yourself of Monsieur le Curé.
To Mr. James P. Jackson, Jr., Dear Sir, due to the great confusion and delay existing in the mails at the present time, we have not until now been able to repair our error concerning your godchild. We take pleasure in announcing that we are now in a position to supply you with a boy, as formerly requested. As to the little girl, we can no doubt provide for her until other arrangements can be made. Elderly gentlemen, we find, are particularly fond of adopting little girls. Hoping you will pardon our delay and inform us as soon as possible concerning your wishes in this matter, we beg to remain sincerely yours, the Junior Committee of the Fatherless Children of France. Greenville Falls, New York. Dear Miss Secretary, it is more than kind of you to bother about changing my girl into a boy, but it can't be done because I have changed my mind about it, but I thank you all the same. You see, it is this way. At first I wanted a boy, and I was kinder sore after setting my heart on one to get a girl, but the girl you give me is different from most girls. She seems to have a lot of real sense, and I have got kinder used to her, and, well, I wouldn't like to have her unprovided and waiting for an old gentleman to adopt her. Some old gentlemen are awful cranks. Old Sam Barton, who is our neighbor, is the limit. He has had 5 wives, and Mother says Lord only knows what he has done with them. Anyway, we don't. And she has sort of been taking it easy while I was supporting her, and the change would come hard to her. I mean, my godchild, not Sam Burton's wife. Anyway, the year is most over, and you know how folks talk. First thing I knew they would say young Jackson's a fickle feller. Thought he'd adopt an orphan, and now he's swapped his girl for a boy. You know how people will talk. So I guess I can stand my godchild for this year anyway, and after that we shall see. Of course, I was simply sterilized when I learnt she was a girl, but even a girl is preferable to a boy that wore shawls and said everything was pretty and kissed you with the bottom of his heart. She has cut that out now, and I am getting her in pretty good shape, explaining what's what to her and everything, so I guess we can manage, but I am obliged to you for the asking. Yours truly, James P. Jackson, Jr. End of section 5.
Section 6 of Dear Godchild. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Caitlin Moore. Dear Godchild by Margaret Bernard and Edith Serrell. Section 6. Letters 26 to 30. Greenville Falls, New York, September 5th, 1917. Dear Godchild, your letter reached me safely, and I was relieved to hear the boys had got safely over there. Of course we had some few notes, particularly from Hanky Jones, you know, the feller that drove the hearse I told you about. Well, he's driving somewhere over the top in France. Not a hearse, but a truck, and oh boy, he says the swellest funeral he ever drove, for can't hold a candle to driving a truck with Fritz bullets binging all around you, and he says, I received the kit you sent me, and it is a great comfort. The kit is not a cat, but an assortment of handkerchiefs and toothbrushes and everything a soldier gets, and Mother sent him his, and so he wrote to thank her. And he says if I go over the top with the best of luck and get enough leave to come home, I will give myself the pleasure of calling on you and showing you what a Greenville soldier looks like. My reciprocity shall never end. And he goes on telling how French cooking agrees with him, and the censor didn't cut that out, but he cut out the best part, I guess. Anyway, the censor must have a soft spot for you, because he never cuts any part of yours out. I guess anyway you must be a pretty popular girl, you have so many friends that think a lot of you. There's your brother Jules, and that Mr. Laquier, and that boy Teddy, and me. I was sort of thinking about you and me the other day, and I wrote a verse of poetry about us, and here it is. Realization by James Prendergast Jackson, Jr. I'm over here, and you're over there, and I know not the shade of your eyes or your hair, but this much I realize, from the land of the free, you are imbibed with mystery. I think that sums up the situation. I have supported you 1 year, and you don't know me, and I don't know you, and maybe you will never meet me, and maybe I will never meet you. And while I'm trying to think how I can get over there, along comes that feller, Teddy, and gets his eye on you and says, guess I'll have her for my godchild. And bully for you, you're a peach, and you fell for it, of course, and I have to take a back seat. I guess that's life. But I tell you, it is pretty tough sometimes, and a feller who is 12 years old has more troubles than you think. But I guess if you want to be his godchild, I won't stand between you. Maybe you would like a list of how I have supported you. Here are some of it. Mindin' chickens, sellin' mirrors, choppin' wood, freezin' ice cream for Crankin' and Sons, pickin' cherries, money from Carl Odell for keepin' quiet, polishin' door handles, a mud turtle to Sid Perkins, Perkins Big, White House 1 week when I was hard up, but I don't think I shall ever be hard up again, as Mr. Parker has offered to take me on the mirror staff whenever I like. As he says, I talk like a book agent. I wish I could leave school and go into business or to war or something. I don't seem to get much out of school somehow. Miss Davis says to Mother, maybe your son has defective eyes, but she says to me, you're a blockhead. I guess Miss Davis is off to the trolley or something. Dad says she has Fritz blood because she is distantly related to the Dinkelheims. I was sorry to hear you had swallowed all that gum, but was glad to see you got away with it. That feller was the limit to give it to you, and it is not a thing to give to a godchild. First thing you know, when he is your godfather, he will feed you a shoestring or something, and you will be too polite to say no, and you will die. I hate to think of you ending that way. It don't seem right somehow. Say, what does he want to buckle his hair and line it up one side for? He must think his head is a racetrack. Gee whiz, I hate to think of the Yanks comin' running over there with fellers like that among them. I've been in swimmin' with Dinky Odell in old Frost Lake today, and he stumped me to swaller a skipper and said, I bet a quarter you will not. So I swallered one, and it didn't taste anything at all, only it kind of crawled up and down my throat for a while, and oh boy, didn't he tickle though. The next time I swaller a skipper, I shall chew him fust. If you don't, they walk inside of you as if they was saying, where do we go from here? Say, you were pretty smart about catching on about my jokin' about Mr. le Cure. Course I don't know him as well as you do, 'cause you know and I know he's lived on the other side more than here, but I guess if we was to pass on the street, we would know each other well enough to say, hello, old top, how are you today? Say, I've got your Christmas present all picked out. Do you know what I wish you would give me for mine? See if you can guess. Your affectionate godfather as ever, James P. Jackson, Jr. 18 Rue d'Autancourt, Paris, September 21st, 1917. My dear godfather, I thank you for your long letter, and I gave it to Monsieur Teddy, so he read and see how much you are gentle. He regard the letter and regard me, and his figure became very droll, like he want laugh or cry very much, and he dare not and must retain himself, and he demand if he can keep the letter in his pocket for tomorrow, because he desired to envoy you with a response with mine. He is very amiable and charming, think you not? He came to my house all the days now, and always he brings something. Sunday he bring a pate like we eat on days of fete before the war, and he remain for 8 us eat it. And yesterday he bring a great ribbon all white for tie on my hairs. He says in America all the little girls carry on the summit of the head a ribbon big like a hat. He want not I keep for the Sundays, but he tie me up, and then he say I am pretty. Jolly he say, and he demand I show him to speak the French. So he commenced to read my book of when I was little, the Lectures Infantines. And I make him say the little poetry that is on the page 3, and it say, Cher petite oreilliere. And then my great sister enter, and she have on her bodice of Sundays, and very much the powder of rice on the nose, and she say, go in the bedchamber and amuse yourself, and I talk with this Monsieur American. And I want not to go, and I cry, but she say if I obey not she will tell Monsieur Teddy come back never again. She is a villain, my great sister. I will defend that she aid me to write my letters to you. I have not business of her. I have as much as her knowledge of the English, and the American also. And Monsieur Teddy love me, nothing but me. When he got up to go call he call, where is that child of the gods? He make that game of words because I have perhaps 2 godfathers, and I come and he console me. Thursday last it was my birthday. Monsieur Teddy divined it because he asked me how much age I have, and I say I will have 12 years to 18. And he say in America it is always a great feast, and I must to eat a cake very big with snow and ice on it, and candles, and so he bring it. I was washing the vessels, and he came in the kitchen and make many foolishness. He whipped me, to make laugh, 12 times with a little stick, so I grow very big all the year. And then he make me hide my eyes in my apron, and when I open them I see the cake, big and white like, oh like I know not what, and the 12 candles pink were illuminated, and there was my name with the 2 S written chocolate on the snow. And Monsieur Teddy bring also the cold cream. It is rose like the candles and perfumed with vanilla and strawberries. Oh dear godfather, I wanted you be here and have some. Only one time before when I was little I did eat the cold cream, and never when it is the war did we eat cake. And it is a good like to be in paradise. But alas, Monsieur Teddy soon will go beat himself with the Boches. It is terrible to think because he is so good and beautiful. I told you he have little wings white on him, because he goes up in the air. Goodbye, dear godfather, your affectionate godchild, Andrée Leblanc. Greenville Falls, New York, October 6, 1917. Dear Godchild, I'm sending you this letter in answer to yours quick, because I think if you are not careful that Teddy will poison you with his eats. The gum was bad enough, and I was joking when I said what I did about the shoestring, but cross my heart and hope to die that feedin' you cold cream is the wust I ever heard, and what makes me feel so bad is there is no one to warn you, and he is stringin' you on. Gee whiz, it makes me sick to think of it. I have not been able to eat for 2 days. Yesterday we had pancakes for breakfast, and I cannot eat any, and Mother said, I wonder what ails James. And Dad said, in the spring a young man's fancy, and Mother said quick, it is not spring, Prendy, it is fall, and I think it is his stomach that is turned, and Dad said, no, it is his heart, I have found his poetry, and Mother said, well, you may be right, but I shall give him a dose of castor oil. You know the oil of the castor, just like you have the oil of the codfish, only this tests like Sam Scratch, see? Well, I had to swallow some, and it was fierce, and for 2 cans I would twist that Teletubby's nose and stick my finger in his eye. Gee whiz, and he wears white wings, does he, and jumps up in the air. Some angel, believe me. Say maybe he is an angel that has fallen from the sky. Or acrobat from Barnum's. Only I guess if he comes from Barnum's, he must be a freak all right. Anyway, until this year ends, you are my godchild and I am your godfather. And I forbid you to touch any more of that Teddy eats. Understand? If you are hungry, you just tell me, and I will send you the proper food. And it will not be gum, or cold cream, or candles either, I can tell you. Why, even Mr. Le Cure would know enough not to give you any of those things. That Teddy is not fit to have a godchild, and that is the whole story in a nutshell. I don't know just what I shall do if he writes to me. Maybe I will answer and maybe I won't. I guess I shall tell Miss Betty about it. Have I ever told you about her? She lives in the big house on the hill next to Sid Perkins and has hair like, well, like what you said about Jean's, like gold and sunshine and big blue eyes and the cutest little chin with the dimple right in the middle, and when she smiles she makes me think of the fairy queens you read about in books. I guess Miss Betty is the prettiest girl on earth, all right. She was one of the folks what let me give their doorknobs an extra polish, and she knows all about you, and now I have told her about that Teddy, and she says, I know just how you feel about him, Jimmy. It is a great comfort to have someone understand you if your family do not. And I asked her if she knew any poetry in French I could send you by of conversation, and she says, I remember just one, and here it is. Je vous aime, je vous adore, que voulez-vous donc encore? I thought that was kind of short, but she said if I sent this to you, you might send that feller Teddy packing, but I guess you won't. I don't know when I had so much bad luck as I have had lately. First there was the whooping cough, then my blow legs, then I lost my firecrackers, and now I guess I'm going to lose you all right. I forget to tell you there is a new preacher here called Herbert Hoover, and he is a minister of the gospel of the clean plate, and all of us schoolboys have been distributing little papers about it. The idea is, if you do not believe in it, you eat meat, wheat, and everything, and if you believe a little you have meatless days, and eat rye, no wheat, and if you get the religion real hard, you lick your plate clean and eat pretty near nothing at all. Anyway, nobody must eat sugar. Dad says it is because sugar has turned to diamonds, so we have syrup instead, and it's pretty good. The pancakes I was telling you about was made with that. Mother says the sugar situation isn't going to be real bad. I hope there is some left for my birthday, which is near Thanksgiving Day. Say, you and I come near being twins, do you know that? Just 2 weeks more and we would have been born together. Only I would have been your twin over here, and you would have been my twin over there. Say, wouldn't that have been funny, though? Stranger things have happened, though. It does seem sort of strange to think those 2 weeks have made me your godfather and you my godchild, instead of us being twins. I told Mother about it, and she said she thought it was better this way. I have saved up 47 cents for your Christmas present. I'm not going to tell you what I wish I would do for mine. I'm going to see if you can guess it. Your ever affectionate godfather, James P. Jackson, Jr.
End of section 6.
Section 7 of Dear Godchild. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Phil Chenevert. Dear Godchild by Marguerite Bernard and Edith Serrell. Section 7. Letters 31 to 33. 18 Rue d'Autancourt, Paris, September 24, 1917. My dear Godfather, I am afraid this letter can't be in my own style and handwriting this time, for Mr. Teddy is here and I have asked him to help me with my English in exchange for my helping him with his French. My mind is troubled, and I think he can express my thought, so he has taken the pen in hand, and I, sitting on a little stool at his feet, am gazing up at him, try to make him understand what is in my mind. But first of all, Mr. Teddy wants to ask you to forgive him if he seems to be butting in and spoiling the game between you and your godchild. Honor bright, he didn't mean to do it. It was fate. Just blind, mysterious, and merciless fate that decreed that things should happen as they did. Mr. Teddy may be a blessing in disguise. Anyway, he couldn't be helped, and he has no excuse to offer except perhaps that he is alone in the world and homesick in a foreign land. He is sorry for you, and he can't fight a duel over the situation, but I am very glad, and Mr. Teddy wants to tell you very seriously that he takes off his hat to any little fellow of your size who can do the plucky things you have done and keep it up so well. If grown-up men all had more of your spirit, he says, the war would be over long ago. The object of this letter is as follows. I, your godchild, wish to make amends. I wrote you yesterday and didn't answer your letter. Not a word did I say about it, except that I had received it. Then I prattled away all about my mother, would-be godfather, for whom you naturally have no earthly use. And today my heart is filled with remorse, and my head is filled with fears, lest you should think your dear godchild is ungrateful, fickle, and flighty. I want to tell you how every detail of your life, from knob polishing and bug swallowing to poetry writing, is dear and precious to me. How I wish I could do the same. How I live in eager expectation of your letters. How I gloat and ponder over them when they come. How deep is the gloom into which I am plunged when they do not come. Mr. Teddy knows all that because I have somehow expressed it, and if I had striven to hide my thought, he would have guessed it, for he knows full well what goes on in the hearts of little maids and gallant lads. Therefore, I have asked him to voice my deepest feelings in a poem that will answer yours. Idealization by Andrée Leblanc and Yankee Teddy. Though our eyes may never meet, to me you're more than bread or meat. You are the proud and noble knight that I pray for every night. You could stand up on burning decks while others ran to save their necks. You would not fear the dreadful Hun. In freedom's cause you'd fire a gun. A lad who never gets cold feet was not destined to know defeat. But oh, thou child of many prayers, beware of jealousy's deep snares. From your affectionate godchild, Andrée Leblanc. Greenville Falls, October 10, 1917. My dear Mr. Teddy, Jimmy has just brought me your letter in great excitement, and I am taking the liberty of answering it myself, as I don't think he could do himself justice under the present circumstances. Mr. Teddy, did you ever have a soft spot for a little girl when you were about 11 or 12? I had one for a little boy. He was older than I, about 14. His name was Robert, and he had freckles. I think he squinted, too, and he teased all the girls a great deal. I am sure he was a very horrid little boy, as I look back, but at the time I thought he was wonderful, and it almost broke my heart when he said he had no use for little yellow-haired girls, and took a girl with 2 brown pigtails to a big children's party instead of me. Jimmy has a very soft spot for his godchild, and it is more than a passing fancy with him. You see, his family, while not actually poverty-stricken, are not as well off as they used to be, and Jimmy has practically supported Andrée himself all the year through countless little odd jobs. I have seen him on the coldest winter days, chopping wood or going from door to door asking to shovel snow. And his fingers were so red and frozen he could barely hold the shovel. Yet he was always ready, with a smile, to do more work for his kid in France. Andrée is his godchild, his sister, his whole family to him, and he shoulders the responsibility of looking after her with all the seriousness of a little old man. Now, right in the middle of this flourishing state of affairs, you come, with your big American pockets filled with elastic candy and bonbons, and at a moment's notice you produce cold cream perfumed with strawberry and vanilla, and snow-covered cakes such as Jimmy can never hope to equal. What little girl would not turn fickle to her first love in the presence of such a display? At first Jimmy was filled with natural jealousy at your intrusion. He was all for going over there and giving you a piece of his mind. But since receiving your letter, he has, almost incredibly, come to feel sorry for you, because, as he says, it must be pretty tough to be all alone over there, and I guess he thinks my godchild is a peach all right. And Jimmy is right. You must be so very, very lonesome. And yet, couldn't we manage to cheer you up a little without taking Jimmy's godchild away from him? I don't know of any little godchild I would give you in exchange, but I do know of a girl who lives with an invalid mother in a big white house on a hill, and who would only be too glad to have a soldier for a godson, and send him little packages of cigarettes and pictures of movie stars, of which she has a great collection, and, tell him about home and friends and people and everything. I am sending you this letter, care of Andrée Leblanc. If you would care for the arrangement I suggest, would you let me know? Sincerely yours, Elizabeth Winslow. 18 Rue d'Autancourt, Paris, November 2, 1917. My dear godfather, Jules has received a wound and he is very joyful because it make him not to die. On the contrary, it make him cited at the order of the day and decorated with the Médaille Militaire. He make 2 Boche prisoners and catch them with one hand because the other had the very bad hurt, and then he fainted himself on the ground, and the Cross-Red pick him and conduct him at a great hospital in Paris. And Tuesday, Maman and Marie go to see him and take him the lemonade. And yesterday, Monsieur Teddy asked Maman the permission to take me to see him also, and she say yes, and we go. We ride in the tramway pending a long time, and I give Monsieur Teddy a lesson of French, and he say nothing but oui, oui, and chic alors, zut alors, and all the travelers regard us and laugh, and Monsieur Teddy laugh also. But when we arrive at the hospital, he laugh not at all. He take my hand, and I keep it very tight because I am frightened. It is very beautiful, the hospital. There is the great garden with trees and flat bands, and the soldier sentinel at the door. Inside it is all white and dark, a little like the church, and it smell of pharmacy, and nobody make a noise. A lady white conduct us up the stairs and open a door, and I see a great number of beds in lines with poilus in them. When they see the uniform American, some make the salute militaire, and I feel myself very proud. Jules was so content he say it make his hurt to go away immediately. And Teddy sit on a chair and give cigarettes and try to make conversation with his hands, and I sit on the bed and make talk with 2 tongues and 10 fingers also. And Teddy say he will come again, see brother Jules all the Sundays and Thursdays, and console him until he go to fly away. Very sure he is one angel, Mr. Teddy, and he go up in the heavens with the wings. Oh, little foolish godfather, understand you not he is one aviator? And you must not be in anger because he give me the good things to eat. Perhaps in Amerique the cold cream is bad, but in Paris it makes you not sick, on the contrary. I show not your letter to Mr. Teddy because you say for 2 cents you twist his nose and his eyes, and it is not very genteel, dear godfather. When you think wickedness, the bon Dieu punish you.
It is because you think wickedness of Mr. Teddy that you become sick and cannot eat the pancakes and must drink the oil of the castor. I am content that the Miss Betty understand you and you tell her all things, and she is like the fairy with the twisted hairs. Hairs like gold is very pretty for little boys like Jean, but on ladies it look like the sun have fade the color. Thank you for the poetry she make. But my great sister see it, and she say to Maman, these enfants write great foolishness all the time. If it continues, we must give Andrée no more stamps of 5 sous. We will make economy and send only card postal all the 3 months when the Comité Américain send the silver of the Godfather. And I am very unhappy because Maman will not permit me to polish doorknobs like you and gain silver for the stamps of 5 sous. But little Jean come squeeze my neck and console me and say he will work and become rich to purchase the stamps of 5 sous. Poor little, he know not what it is the life, but he is one brave little man, and I think he will resemble you, dear godfather. Oh, I forget, in my other letter I write when Mr. Teddy come, to say I desire very much your portrait when you are grinning like you say. I love very much the grinning, godfather. I will place you above my bed under the branch of the blessed box. My papa is there also, and I embrace him all the nights before I lie down. Dear little godfather, I am very recognized that you guard 47 sous for my Christmas. Alas, I can never enough say thank you for all you do, and I can never render it to you. It make me full of sorry when I think that. With Maman, I essay to guess what you want I do. I will make something with my proper hands, and Maman will aid. You will love a pair of slippers embroidered, or a shawl, I want say a scarf, or a bonnet of aviator? Tell me, I pray you. I shake your hand affectionately, your godchild, Andrée Leblanc. End of section 7. Section 8 of Dear Godchild. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Phil Chenevert. Dear Godchild by Marguerite Bernard and Edith Serrell. Section 8, letters 34 to 36. Greenville Falls, November 18, 1917. Dear Godchild, how are you? I got that Mr. Teddy's letter, and I was going to answer it, but I didn't know just what to say, so I gave it to Miss Betty, and she said she would answer it herself. And you needn't worry about my twisting his nose and sticking my finger in his eye, because if you like him, I will leave him alone for your sake. I had quite a good birthday. Miss Betty found out when it was, and she gave me a bully party, but we had a fierce time getting sugar. You know Mr. Hoover, the new minister I was telling you about? Well, he has got real excited about sugar, and he has told the shopkeepers they must only give 1 pound to each family, and Miss Betty, she wanted more than that to make my cake, 'cause she said it is hard enough to cook with things, but it is the limit to cook without 'em. And she didn't know what to do until she had a bright idea. She sent Molly to Butler's store, and she got some maple syrup and mixed it all up with the sugar and a lot of other good stuff, and I had a bully cake. It was kinder soft to have candles on it, but Miss Betty made it all herself, and that is more than your Teddy did, and it was a bully cake just the same. And she let me ask Dinky Odell over to have some, and we had hot chocolate and a first-rate time. I am sorry your sister didn't like the poetry. Some people don't know a good thing when they see it. Carl Odell has writ to Amanda, and he says, I am writing this in the midst of falling shells and bombs bursting in air, and if ever I come out all right, little girl, I'll come back to you. Carl Odell must have been sent to the front pretty quick all right, as he has only been gone 2 weeks, and he says he has a lot of inside inflammation, but he is afraid the censor will cut it out. And now I come to the business part of this letter. For 1 year now I've been your godfather, and you have been my godchild, and we have hit it off pretty well, I think. And now the year is drawing to a close, and next month, it may be, all will be ended between us.
Little girl, what I have been wishing you would do for Christmas is not a scarf or a slipper or anything but this. Will you be my godchild for another year? I guess maybe you might do better for yourself and get a more classy godfather. I don't seem to be much good at school somehow, and I guess that Mrs. Yankett was right when she said what she did about my spelling being fierce. I guess maybe you write better than I do, and I know that Mr. Teddy does because Miss Betty saw his letter, and she said it was a fine letter. Somehow, I guess Monsieur le Curé and Mrs. Yankett and all your friends write and spell better than I do, but I bet I can polish door handles and wash windows and sell mirrors and support you as well as anybody. Maybe I am cut out for plain business. And so I say, if you think you like me and would like to keep on having me for your godfather, say yes, and I will be much obliged. But if you think you would be happier with Mr. Teddy, dear godchild, why just say so and never mind about me. I guess I can live it down. Your affectionate godfather, James P. Jackson, Jr. Paris, December 4, 1917. Dear Godfather, I say 1,000 times yes, and le bon Dieu give you benediction. Oh, dear Godfather, you did make thee foolish when you believe I want veritable Monsieur Teddy to me adopt. He is full of gracious goodness, Monsieur Teddy, but he is not like unto you. He did not the work, and he beat himself not with redskins to succor me and give comfort in the modest interior. Mr. Teddy, very sure, will be one hero in the war, but you are already one hero with heart more big. And my dear papa, that did die for the patrie, is well content to behold that. We are loving the Amerique, but mamma and me say yesterday, there is not in the world entire a boy so much replenished of sentiment delicate like my grinning godfather. I can call you like that because your photograph is come. You are more beautiful than Mr. Teddy, and it rejoiced the heart to look upon you. Dear godfather, I will tell you Mr. Teddy is departing to the front. He come one day late, and he say not he go away the tomorrow. He only sit by the stove and take Jean upon his knees and caress the hairs of gold, and he smile very nice, but speak not much. And when he go, he tell me very quiet, he have in his pocket one beautiful letter of the Miss Betty, and she is his fairy godmother, and you are my fairy godfather, and all things are all right, all right. You say all the time that word, you other Americans, all right, all right. Maman say it is because you have confidence in le bon Dieu, and you know that he will make the bad world all over like that. All right, all right. Happy year, dear little godfather. Permit one time that I embrace you very affectionately and shake your hand. Your godchild for life, Andrée Leblanc. Dear Miss Secretary, after some consideration I have decided to keep my orphan for one more year. Of course she is still a girl and I wanted a boy, but she is used to me and I'm used to her, and it might go hard with her if I left her for someone else to adopt. So if you would just put me down for one more year, I will be much obliged to you. Yours truly, James P. Jackson, Jr. End of section 8. End of Dear Godchild by Marguerite Bernard and Edith Serrell.